To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So last night I got into a fight with a vicious wild animal, and the wild animal won. Before I get into that though, I want to talk about, I'm staying in the theme of wildlife and nature and all that. I want to talk about this tree right here. This guy has been really special to me. When we first got to this property, it was covered in vines. You can still see some of the vines on it. Of course, we've tried to remove quite a bit of them. You can see the poison ivy keeps trying to grow back up. And I'm sure you can still see that there's still stragglers that won't fall out. But since Carolyn has taken so much time with this tree, it looks like it's a very healthy tree. When we first cleaned up this area right here where I'm standing, this was all covered up in grass and weeds and fence. You can see that there had been a fence wrapped around this tree. So I removed the fence, and some of the bark, it was, had covered it up. So I just drug it out and snipped and drugged it out and snipped until I was able to get all the wire out. Well, then I started doing research on the tree because I didn't know if I wanted to cut it down or not. Once I realized what it was, I thought, no, I'm not cutting it down. This is a walnut tree. And once I started doing some research on it, the leaves are very distinct. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, fingers of leaves. So this property pretty much has two types of trees on it that I can tell. Walnut and oak. Both are very good firewood. You go to the store, you buy walnuts. And this tree actually produces walnuts. This must be from like last year here. Well, last night I walked out and I stepped on something, felt weird. And this morning I came back out and I started looking around. It's starting to drop unripened walnuts already. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about walnuts, so I'm really researching, trying to figure all this out. But about September through November, you get a PVC pole, and you can start knocking this walnuts out of the tree. Now, I did some research. The green ones here, somehow you can pickle these, and they're good. Now, I decided that I was going to break it open and look inside, and I even tasted it, and I made sure that you could do this before I did it, and you can. And so I just took a hammer and this brick here, and it pops right open, just like that. Open it up, and there's the walnut right there. And you can eat that. Now, what happens is it's very wet and moist right now, so it doesn't fall out of the shell like it's supposed to. So, I'm sure if you've had walnuts from the store, this is what it looks like. They just kind of fall right out. Well, this is very wet, but I did eat it, and they say that these will never taste like the walnuts that you buy from the store because they roast theirs for a longer shelf life. So I guess it'll take some getting used to. But I ate it. It didn't taste bad at all. Carolyn tried a piece, and it was actually kind of tasteful. A little crunchy, a little soft, and maybe a little tart. But so in September, please join me breaking into these walnuts. Now, they say if you refrigerate them, they'll last for a year or two. And the interesting thing is once I learned what a walnut tree looks like, they're all over this property. It's amazing how many walnut trees are here. They start producing walnuts around their age, I think is 7 or 8 years old. And then they produce for a while, and then eventually they'll stop producing. So I want to keep an eye on that, because once they stop producing, then I can cut those trees down to make room for new trees for firewood. Walnut is a really good firewood, not as good as oak, but it's a hardwood. The other thing is you can cut walnut, and it's beautiful inside. It has a dark ring in the center. You can make tables out of them. They can get 100 feet tall, I think I read, several feet wide. Well, I got a pretty mature tree back here that I'm taking you to. I did look, and it looks like at least last year it was still producing walnuts, because I see walnuts that squirrels have gotten into last year right here. So here's a walnut tree, and it's huge. It goes way up there. Now, the problem with the walnut tree being down in the woods is being able to find the walnuts. And hopefully we can beat the squirrels to it. But I bet there's, 10 or 12 walnut trees back here. And here's another one. But the problem with this one is it's next to our garden area. And we're going to want to plant a bunch of corn here next year is kind of the idea. And I read that walnuts produce a chemical that will kill other plants. I don't know if it'll kill corn, so I need to do some research on that. I had to cut one down over here because it was in the way of my solar panels. The one I cut down, you can see here, and see how pretty that is? It's just beautiful. I mean, if you could mill that or something. But I got on eBay and I saw that somebody had cut these into little plates, probably 8-inch plates, sanded them up real good and varnished them, and was selling them like $40, I think it was, $40 for 8 plates. So, getting to the wild animal story. I told you in a previous video that we have been feeding a feral cat. He's been coming around quite a bit, although the last few days he doesn't want to stick around. He was hanging out right over here underneath the cedar tree. He doesn't let you get too close. And if you get too close, he goes inside the cedar tree, and there's some rocks down in here he sits on. But we've been feeding him right here next to his little hiding area. But I noticed that every day his water bowl was dirty. You know, I fill up his water before night. Next morning it was dirty. But I never paid any attention to it. It didn't make me any difference. I just cleaned it again in the morning and filled it again. So I've been keeping the cat food, since we don't have a lot of storage space, underneath the tarp area here. And our refrigerator is here, and all my power tools are here. I've been keeping it in a bucket with the lid on it. Well, the night before last, I must have forgotten to put the lid on, because I got up the next morning to feed the cat, and the bucket had been dumped over and the lid was off, and something had obviously gotten into the bag of 9 lives. I just figured it was the cat. As a matter of fact, the cat didn't eat that much that morning. Ate a few nibbles and walked off, so I didn't give it any thought. So I made sure the lid was secure. Didn't think much about it again. Of course, I told Carolyn, just in case she saw the cat in there. About 11 o'clock last night, Carolyn wakes me up. Now, I go to bed a couple hours before Carolyn does. I go to bed at 9:30. And she wakes me up and she says, that cat must be trying to get into that cat food again. Why don't you go bring the cat food in? So I come out here with my flashlight and I walk around. Right there was a raccoon. It didn't startle me. It was like, you know, for a brief second I thought, well, that's not the cat. And it took him a fraction of a second to realize that I was a danger to him, I guess. Then finally he turned around, darted off into the woods underneath the clothesline there, barking. You know, I don't know, but what do you call it? However they bark. So he's barking, and I thought, well, I'll just go down there and see if I can see where he's at. That way I don't cut down his home or disturb his home or anything. So I got my flashlight, my big spotlight, and I'm coming down here. It was kind of neat. I mean, he's still making noise. Lots of noise. And I thought, why is he making so much noise? I mean, I've ran into raccoons before. What's the big deal? And I couldn't see him after a while. So I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna get the bucket of cat food and I'm gonna bring it inside so he doesn't try to get into it anymore. Now I know why the water for the cat is always dirty. They're going over there eating the cat food and cleaning it. So I come back under here to grab the cat food, which is right here. I open up the curtain and something made a noise, barked at me. And I'm looking around, I can't see anything. And right underneath this box I got here, he darted up a little bit and there was another raccoon. I thought, wow, why isn't he running off? I came over to the side, I had my flashlight, and I took a look inside here to get a better glimpse of him through this little opening here. And it was a little baby or adolescent. It was very small. So I thought, well, I'll take my little shovel here and I'll try to poke him out. I didn't want to hurt him. I mean, I really didn't want to hurt him. I'm trying so hard not to hurt him. Because remember, my refrigerator is in there. I don't want him getting into the fridge because I know they can. So I come over here with my shovel and I'm trying to just gently nudge him. And he's nipping at the shovel, but he's not leaving. He just won't leave. He's being very aggressive that he is not going to leave. Finally, he tucks up right in here next to the concrete bag. And I thought, you know what? He can't hurt me now. I grabbed my shovel and I just hooked onto the handle of the bucket and I pulled it out. And I left him be. And I thought, you know, I'll just have to keep an ear out to see if he gets into the fridge. So I went inside and I Googled, will a mother raccoon abandon its babies if it feels threatened. And that's exactly what happened. Apparently, if the mother raccoon feels threatened, it barks, telling the babies to go hide, while the mother runs off, hoping to attract the predator to itself, keeping it away from the babies. That's exactly what happened. So the baby was actually following mom's orders to the letter. He won, the little baby raccoon won, attacking the shovel. I couldn't get him out there, so he won the fight, and I just left him be. Came out this morning, and he was gone. I'm worried that the raccoon might be scaring the cat away, so that worries me too. I don't want the cat just to come eat and leave. I want the cat to stay here like it was doing. Anyway, my little story of being attacked by a wild baby raccoon. Thanks for watching.